Sometimes people commit cruel acts, justifying themselves in various ways, that they had no other choice, or that by this act they helped other people. They take it upon themselves to decide others' fates. What price will they pay for this cruelty? Will retribution overtake them, or will they remain unpunished until the end of their days? This is what we will tell you about in our story today. It happened in the Volga region in the early 90s. Due to the collapse of the USSR, thousands of people lost their jobs, and now everyone survived as best they could. Many left the big cities, where it was impossible to feed their families, and moved to remote villages where money was of little value. There, it was possible to farm, hunt, fish, and grow vegetables for food. The man who will be discussed in our story today did just that. He moved to a small village in the Volga region with his wife and 4-year-old daughter in order to be able to support his family. There, they took up farming, and the man went hunting for small game. One morning, he went hunting as usual. The man took with him a small supply of food and water, his gun, and his dog, who was well trained to search for game and always went hunting with her master. They left the house and went deep into the forest, looking for prey. But then the attention of the man was drawn by an unusual squeak. It came straight from a cave that was not far away. Apparently, someone's cub was squeaking. The hunter, just in case, cocked his gun and carefully walked towards the cave. In the cave, directly in front of him, lay a young she-wolf who apparently had just given birth to 2 pups. Seeing the man, the she-wolf tensed, but was still too weak to even stand up. She lay helplessly beside her pups and looked pleadingly at the man. The hunter's eyes lit up with excitement. Never before had he seen this wild animal so closely, and now the she-wolf lay only a couple of feet away from him, her life in his hands. He slowly pointed the gun at her, enjoying his power. When he looked into her eyes, it even seemed to him that she had tears in her eyes. She seemed to be begging him not to shoot. But the passion of hunting overshadowed his mind, and he fired. The she-wolf let out a long, drawn-out howl and then lowered her lifeless head next to her newborn pups. But the monster didn't stop there. He decided to let his dog have the pups, which she tore apart within the blink of an eye, then returned contentedly to her master. The man was very happy that he managed to kill a she-wolf so easily and even 2 small wolf pups. After that, he shot a few birds, and then satisfied, he went home. He proudly told his friends how he did not spare the she-wolf and her 2 pups, and they nodded their heads approvingly. What a fine fellow he was! The man did not feel a shadow of sympathy or remorse until something incredible happened. A few days later, the man was at home. His wife was preparing dinner, and their little 4-year-old daughter was playing in the yard with a kitten. The dog was tied up nearby and was waiting for the girl to play with her, too. Everything was calm when suddenly the dog began to bark desperately and tear from the chain. The man ran outside at the sound of her barking and froze in terror. A huge wolf stood next to his little daughter and looked straight into her eyes. The girl, accustomed to big dogs, apparently did not understand that it was a wolf and not a dog, so she stood and looked at him cheerfully. The man assessed the situation. He would not have time to make the slightest movement. The wolf was too close to the girl and could attack at any moment. The father was in despair. He could not protect his child. She stood in the face of danger, not suspecting anything. Tears welled up in the man's eyes. For some reason, he remembered the eyes of that she-wolf, which seemed to beg him not to touch her and her newly born pups. And now he also stood and looked at this wolf, realizing that the life of his daughter now belongs entirely to this wild animal. He even thought that perhaps it was the same wolf whose family he had so ruthlessly killed that day in the cave. And now he has come to take revenge on the man for his grief. The man began to beg the wolf to spare his daughter, and the wolf seemed to listen to what the man was saying to him. At that moment, the girl stretched out her small hand and stroked the huge wolf on the head and neck. He brought his huge muzzle right up next to her small face and then slowly licked her nose. After that, the wolf turned and slowly walked into the forest. The man rushed to his daughter, hugged her, and cried. He understood everything in those short moments. He completely rethought his life. He realized that he had no right to take the life of a helpless she-wolf and her pups. After that, he threw his gun away and never picked it up again. Even the wolf, having come to take revenge, in the end did not kill the innocent girl, but taught the man a good lesson. People often consider themselves masters of creation, sincerely believing that they have the right to decide who lives and who does not, but in one short moment, everything can change.